It's always thrilling and exciting to see people interested in our program, people interested in what we do. I always get a little bit emotional every time we start one such an event. It's an open house, so we welcome you just to see how we do things, what the transfer of knowledge process looks like here. As Victor and Eva mentioned, you will be able to see actually people who are currently participating to the program. One of our professors visiting us for his entrepreneurship course, Professor Dimo from University of Bath in the UK. So I'll very quickly present the program, the structure of the program, 2 or 3 slides, not to take too much time on this. And of course, then with Eva and Victor, we'll have a sort of an informal Q&A session. You'll be able to ask them, or to ask them to elaborate a little bit more and share their experience with you, their experience with the program, and mainly what happens after they have successfully participated to the program. So the EMBA program here at AUBG has been on for 2 decades now, and as with all education programs at the AUBG, it's a double diploma program. It's accredited both with, of course, the Bulgarian Ministry of Education and Science, and in the US with the New England Commission for Higher Education. So basically, you receive 2 diplomas. The challenge, of course, is for your education and your success to be compatible with the requirements of those 2 diplomas. But believe me, everything is set for you to successfully participate and have those diplomas. The program itself is quite intensive. It takes 16 months to complete, and those 16 months are organized around 4 semesters. We start in January of the current year, and you will graduate in May the following year. 4 semesters with 4 core courses in each semester. And then you have electives, 2 to 3 electives, depending on, of course, your interest. There are electives in project management, in product management. There are electives in service design, in innovation management, design thinking. There are some electives related to negotiations or structuring of successful teams. That's one very sought after electives we have with former student of ours, Mr. Blagobrachev from the first cohort AUBG. As I mentioned, the faculty is international. We have a lot of visiting faculty from various universities. We have people coming from California, from Minnesota, from the University of Bath, as I mentioned, Professor Dumov, who is here today. But we also have people from AUBG, professors at AUBG, of course, Professor Berisha in accounting, Professor Termos in corporate finance, and a few others. So it's a rather various and rich, I would say, contribution from different scholars from across the globe. And the elective courses are taught by people with some significant professional experience in their field, because the electives are very intense. Of course, the elective courses, they're much shorter than the core courses, and the transfer of knowledge has to happen in a rather very smooth and direct way. One thing which is very specific for the program, and it's based on the principles of say, liberal arts education, is that the transfer of knowledge, and you'll ask Eva and Victor to elaborate on that in UC, transfer of knowledge is not from the professor, like I do right now, preaching to the crowd, to the audience, telling them what they have to know. It's rather a constructive discussion, sometimes very heated discussion when there is disagreement, and it's a good thing to have a disagreement within the classroom, because that's the way we make sure that the best decisions usually are taken. So you will see, you will have some very interesting, some very strong classmates with strong ideas and opinions, and you will have to often come up with even better ideas and solutions through the learning process. Of course, it is case-based. Can we mute someone?
Peter, please, we should ask Peter.
You can do that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have, I already told you about the structure of the program. The last thing, which is crucial, of course, is the human touch, so to say. These fantastic people you see here by my side, despite the fact that they are from different cohorts, they know each other. There is a lot of friendships, a lot of partnerships, professional partnerships that that are built through this program and throughout the cohorts, not only inside the cohort. But as I told you, the program being 16 months, cohorts overlap. So that will allow you to see the outgoing cohort when you come in the program, and then of course meet with the incoming cohort when you are about to graduate. And those friendships, believe me, they are absolutely amazing. I have had the pleasure of being with the program for a year and a half now, and I'm absolutely thrilled by the strong interpersonal links that are built throughout the alumni network of the EMBA program at AUBG. So without further ado, I will rather direct your attention to Eva and to Victor, who will share firsthand their opinion and their experience with the problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcin. It is a great pleasure for me to be here and see you. And I have to be honest, I envy you a little bit that you're about to take this step in your lives, because for me, that was the best thing I ever did for myself, professionally and personally. The MBA in general, but especially the executive MBA from the American University. And it changed my life tremendously, because from someone who has been, my background, professional background is in business and in marketing research. So I've been working 15 years in the sphere. I've been managing teams, managing my own business, and then managing a global business. So I had, at this certain point, have reached, I thought I'd reached everything I could have achieved in this position. So it's been years and years of doing more or less the same thing. So I really felt the need to develop more, to challenge myself more. And I started looking for an MBA program. And I indeed had a lot of research on what is available on the market, what are the benefits, what is the cost. So it took me an access event where I met Poliavke for the first time. And then it took me coming to an open house event to experience firsthand what it feels like. And it was this moment where I really felt like, yes, this is amazing. Coming here, coming into class, that I was really won over. And back then, I remember it was a very tough decision to make, because I had family, I had the business running, I had a million other things that I had to do. So there was a lot of thinking in my head, am I going to be able to do it? How am I going to be able to do it? I have to come here, study weekends. There's a lot of projects we have to work on. And so I had this colleague of mine who was also attending the open house day. And we spoke to each other, really, really liked each other. And the next day we had to submit our documents. So we thought, I texted him, if you do it, I'll do it. Then at least if our group is not so great as the one we saw, then at least we have each other. So that's how we actually started with the two of us. And to be honest, looking back, it's the best decision I ever made, because coming here, the people I met, the professors that just broadened my horizons to such an extent that I never could have imagined this would happen to me. Because way beyond the business as usual that I've been used to, I learned about topics such as business and society, social entrepreneurship. We had so many interesting projects with my colleagues that we were working on. And we learned so much every day from the different modules, right? So apart from marketing, finance, everything that we studied together with our professors, we've been learning from each other. Because you enter a room with 20 plus like-minded professionals who are at a higher level, who have your experience, who have your pains, and they can help you solve them. So every day we were also helping each other, learning from each other. And the connections that we built with each other over that 16 months is one of the most valuable part of the experience for me. So those are one of the most valuable connections I have in my life thus far, because the American University alumni network is unmatched in Bulgaria, the region, and beyond. It only takes saying that you're an AUBG alum, and doors are open for you in every aspect. So this is a major benefit I got, not to mention all the personal friendships that were formed, about which I'm happy to share later over a glass of wine if you will be interested, because it's not just hard work here, but it's also having fun together. And that helps you get over the difficult part of this is an executive MBA. It's not a walk in the park, but because we work together, we're able to get through it. And more practically, once I graduated, I did advance in the current job that I was at, meaning I got a salary raise, all the things that you see as figures, that is correct. Once you have the diploma and all the skills you gain here, you definitely are more attractive as a professional, definitely. But for me, that was not enough anymore, which is why for a few years now, I'm actually more turning into academia. I'm now following my PhD, and I'm teaching our undergraduates at the American University in Bulgaria. Whereas the executive MBA is in Sofia. It's here where you study in this building in Studentsky Grad. I teach at the undergraduate level, and I teach them social entrepreneurship. So for me, this is my new passion. The MBA actually led to a change, a shift in my career, and helped me find something that is making me so happy. Whereas before that, I really felt like I'm not achieving anything anymore, and I need something new in my life. And so I keep coming back to the university in all forms and shapes, all events, because it's just all that it gave me. It's happy. It's very nice for me to be back and to be able to give back also, because it did quite a lot for me. And this is in a nutshell the big story of it. And together with me, because I know I speak to out of emotion, but I speak also to men who are engineers and more. I had colleagues in my group who were not so heavily influenced by topics such as business and society or social entrepreneurship. They were plant managers, or really they were more interested in other hard skills. But for them, this program was equally beneficial, because they were able to learn a lot of soft skills that they didn't have before. And those soft skills were immediately then implemented in their work, in their everyday activities. Moreover, you're able to get what you learn here, go back to your working environment, share it with others in the company. Share it with others so that they become better. It's what I did with back in the times with my team leaders. Whatever I would learn here, it was so practical that the next day I could go to work, and then we could just use it and implement it in our everyday business activities, which is also something that is a big benefit of the program. That's good mix between theory and practice, because you can't do only practice. Theory is super important. Like one of the top professors that we have, and you will, I hope, have the privilege to learn from, Professor Maguire said, it's what makes you stand out from other people with the fact that you have an MBA. You have the theory also behind the practice that you're using every day. So all of these things you get right here. So thank you very much for being here.
So Victor, you went through the whole process of studies in law, went for a PhD.
Don't spoil my story now.
You did all of that, and then you came here.
That is true. Well, yeah, Momche, has you spoiled my story. I have a legal background. I'm a lawyer. I did my law. Gained my law degree in Bulgaria in Sofia University. Then I did a 2-year program at Cambridge University. And then last but obviously not least, I did a PhD in international law and international relations. Apart from my education, my professional career took me from a freelance lawyer to someone who had set up a legal practice that did pretty well. Then I got involved in the management of several Bulgarian media. I was a part of the leadership of the Bulgarian National Radio, then the Bulgarian National Television. And in the middle of that process, I came to realize that a good lawyer does not necessarily mean a good manager. A good manager should have so much more expertise related to, obviously he or she should have some legal knowledge, but also accounting, economics, corporate finance, human resources, marketing, what else, strategic analysis, strategic planning, and so on and so on. And I obviously knew that, okay, I was managing some kind of relatively big structures, the Bulgarian National Radio and Television, both of them, they have an annual budget of about 30-40 million euros, and they employ about 1,500 people. So they're relatively big. And I knew something was missing. I knew that I had some gaps. And I tried to make a research what I could do to mitigate those gaps. And then I don't know if I've shared that, but I applied to Bulgarian University. I applied to the UNSSE. How do you call that in English?
Oh God, it's the University of National and World Economy.
Okay, okay.
Very poetic.
So I went to an exam there for admitting into university. I couldn't actually spare any time to prepare myself, and that's what I was telling Eva. I think I got something like 5.97, something like that. And I knew, okay, obviously I was going to get into that university. And then I talked with several colleagues, and they said, okay, why would you do that again? If you need just another diploma, obviously you're going to get it. But is that what you're after? I thought to myself, okay, I have a pretty good collection of diplomas. I certainly don't need another one. I need to learn something. I need to fill the gaps that I know I have. And that path actually led me to the American University of Bulgaria. I did speak with several friends that had actually attained the EMBA program, and the feedback was actually pretty good. What they told me at that stage is that you tend to get the theory and the practice. And my experience with Bulgarian universities was that you usually get the theory, not always in full, but you get the theory, and that's pretty much it. And I knew that this was not something I needed. That was not something I wanted. So yeah, I did my research, and then basically brought me to AUBG and its EMBA program. The major benefits that I for myself saw and experienced can be actually related to two major areas. The first one is obviously the educational experience. I mean, you study quite a lot and you learn quite a lot. So the gaps that I knew I had, in due time and in due process, I did fill them. What I can actually say is that the educational process is dramatically different in comparison to the Bulgarian universities. I mean, theory, in my opinion, is 30, maybe 35% of the whole process. But you have a professor in front of you that has an extensive practical experience. And you start very slowly, step by step. Okay, I'll give an example with accounting. Being a lawyer, you can probably imagine that accounting was not my strongest side. I thought it was going to be dramatic. And the professor that actually teaches accounting started with a very, very small series of steps. I mean, we started extremely basic, but then we did accelerate quite fast, and the pace was, well, at the same time, it was fast and it was good enough so people could keep up. I mean, if I could keep up, so I think everyone could keep up. So accounting is actually something that nowadays I feel pretty comfortable in dealing with P&Ls, with different types of analysis. And these are things that we actually did quite a lot. Yes, we had some theory, but then we did everything from scratch to a final analysis, or final report or whatever. So this is something major that should be taken into account. So the first point, if we could sum up, is the educational experience. it actually works. It's good and it gives practical knowledge. The other side that I think is equally important is related to your colleagues, the rest of the cohort. As Momchi said, you tend to learn both from the professor and from your colleagues. I mean, this is not high school. It's not a university where people are getting their first degree ever. You are surrounded by people that have extended educational experience. They have extended professional experience. I mean, in our cohort, we had people that were managing banks, IT companies, construction companies. We had wine producers. Okay,
it's a good cohort.
It was a very good cohort.
Yeah.
We had only one.
You had it all.
One is enough.
We did have it all. We had people related to the NGO sector. So we had a very huge variety of people, and you really learn something different from everyone. I mean, everyone is there knowing quite a lot, doing quite a lot. Most of the people are acting managers, so everyone has his or her style, and you really learn quite a lot. And to refer to what Eva actually said, yes, you form friendships, and these friendships are pretty strong. Why are they strong? Well, we're all adults, and we're all dealing with things that we have dealt with before. I mean, all of us have been to university, but nowadays we're actually adults that are paying, I'd say, some tuition that is not that small, not that little, and everyone in the room actually knows why he or she is there, what you need from this program, and you're actually ready to devote yourself. So most of the people, well, you really form quite strong friendships. And we graduated last May, I think, in 2021. As of today, we have 4 or 5 businesses that started between colleagues from our cohort, and they're doing pretty well. It's something that was formed in university, and I'm pretty sure it will last quite a lot. So, not to take the whole glory.
No, you can. You can.
Yeah.
Victor is a well, Victor's cohort, not Victor only, are a special case because you were the ones hit really hard by the fact that the pandemic prevented us from operating as we usually should.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating for absolutely everyone, professors, the students, of course, and for us as staff members and administration of this program. It was very, very difficult to make sure that our students are safe. This is obviously the initial and first and most important challenge that we're facing, and yet the transfer of knowledge happens, and yet all of those bonds, interpersonal links are created, currently operate, and they reinforce.
I can only imagine what it's like what it would have been if we were on the ground for the whole 16 months. Yes, we did have I think two semesters, I think, that were online, but it is what it is. The COVID pandemic was here, and I can say that the whole process went pretty smooth in terms of the context.
We were I wouldn't say we were ready, but we had the EMBA program in particular, AUBG in general, and here are some alumni from AUBG, from our bachelor's program, and we already had the infrastructure needed to support one such shift from on-ground to online classes. It was not pleasant. We did. What we have learned from that is that we thought we were flexible. We learned that we can be much more flexible than we were previously, and now we can organize our classes in such a manner that this flexibility is shared with students too, especially for professionals, for executive people, people with very heavy workload and commitments, and put aside the professional life, there is some personal life too. So in order to make sure that everyone can really not only participate to the program, but actually take the best of it, and maintain some vital balance in their lives. Nowadays, we can do, I wouldn't say an online education, because we know, as Victor said, there is a lot of frustration when people don't actually meet in person. But we can organize our processes in such a manner that when students need to be elsewhere, when for one or other reason they can only follow a given class online, we have everything set so the class is naturally online, or I would say naturally hybrid. And we do this both in the undergraduate program and here for the EMBA program too. What is very important is to have a cohort gather together in the beginning of each semester. We have one first intensive week of classes in the first week of each semester, so that students actually happen to know each other. And when I say intensive, it's not only intensive in terms of time in class, but also because you stay with the same people in the same premises, and that's where those exchanges, those discussions, they actually start sparking ideas. And
it's magic in process.
It's magic in process, indeed. We see it from the outside. We see it from the outside. It's really like something like an alchemy.
You will also see it upstairs now. It's also buzzing.
It's really it's nice. It's pleasant. It's more than pleasant.
And did you have the business trip then? Is that something
No.
we didn't touch upon?
No, we couldn't.
Yeah.
Well, that is a very good question. We did.
Yeah.
We still
pending.
owe you a business trip. I'm working on.
I'm waiting for that.
The program is crown jewel at the end of the business trip to a major capital.
Business capital.
Business capital. Mine was in London. So we would go to,
I think the cohort
to
afterwards.
Barclays, to Thomson Reuters, and be accepted, like a very special cohort of people by top level management, where they would tell us about the operations of the company and some background. So it's a very important part of the program as well. But what I suggest is that we leave a few minutes now before Q2 for your questions and how we can most help with what you're wondering with. So that we have time to take that. And for everyone online, if you can also directly unmute and ask your questions. I think we have, close to 15 minutes for questions. So let's see how we can help you the most.
And I'll start with the first question, if you don't mind. Because I didn't do the program. I'm just managing the program, so to say. Which was when you were about to start the program, both of you. Which of all the courses you knew you have to go through seemed to be the most challenging? What was you afraid of?
Accounting, for sure. I've already said that. It was accounting, and surprisingly enough, it turned out to be probably one of my best courses, because I learned the most. I mean, my knowledge was so little in the beginning, and I managed to fill the gap at the end of the course.
Oh my God, operations management.
Operations management. Okay,
well, that's something good.
It is good, maybe for you.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm so glad we had Martin with us, who was so good in operations management. So you always find this one person who's good at it, so he can also help you. And you try to be in a group with that person. That's a little tip.
Now, what is probably not mentioned, I'm sorry to put the questions section. For every semester, the whole cohort is divided into small sections. So basically, each of the students is a part of a smaller team that's from 4 or 5 people. So for the whole semester, you work on a very close basis with these people. You get a lot of assignments together. You work quite a lot. You argue with these people. You laugh with these people. And at the end, you succeed the success with these people. So this is a very important part. Yeah, the smaller teams are very important.
Yeah, and each and every semester we change the team so that you actually happen to work with most, if not all, of your classmates.
Another common practice is to work with case studies. So we would discuss case studies in class apart from the project. Very often we would do that. And very often there will be polarized opinions in a room. So there will be a lot of heated discussions between class, sometimes even between class and the professor. And the professors really loved it when we could do a very critical discussion of what we had in class.
I'm sorry, maybe a naive question to you. Do you know what a case study actually is? Is that a yes or no? Okay, what? A case study. Well, obviously, it's understandable what it means, but this is basically a business scenario that takes place. It usually is quite extensive with quite a lot of details. And then you have a discussion, what should you do if you are the manager of that particular company? Some of the case studies, they involve additional information that comes after the first part of the discussion. I mean, you have this situation, you make this decision, then you have a year process, and this is what happens. And then you see how the story develops and what actually happens. The major advantage of this is that you basically come to see what your decisions could have as implications and as results. And then this basically forms some, I don't know, approaches to very real life situations. I myself can say that the things that we've discussed here in the university with respect to business cases and case studies, I actually applied quite a lot of the concepts in the very next day in my everyday work. So this is something that was very different to my previous educational experience and was quite important. So yeah, case studies is something very good.
Simulations.
Yes, go ahead. I have two questions.
Go for it.
Could you please remind us and or tell us whether there are any opportunities for scholarships? And my second question is more to you both. Do you have any, like, what are your top tips for time management of the program as you're studying and as you're working?
So I guess I'll take the first question, and I'll leave the pleasure of the second question.
So I know how to.
I don't have a family and kids.
Okay, so working and studying. All right. All right.
I've got a dog. So.
No, it doesn't.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
There are a few possibilities for a scholarship. There is the early bird admission where you have a discount. You have also a discount if you pay upfront the entire tuition fee. This happens usually. It's very interesting for companies when companies financially support their employees to join the program. We have one which is for the NGO sector. So when we have a person coming from the NGO sector, we usually keep at least one such a discount for them, so that we make sure that we have a variety of backgrounds and a variety of people with different sensibilities and sensitivities coming to join the program. Eva mentioned quite extensively the topic of the social entrepreneurship. It is not there just to sound nice. It actually has a fully fledged meaning in social entrepreneurship. It's the challenge of taking into account the social, environmental, cultural, etc. Spillover effects or externalities that any business activity may have, and that's crucial in your future understanding as leaders and top managers. So in terms of scholarships, we do have all of those, so to say, solutions depending on where you come from, or what is your what is the process and the dynamics of your process of application.
Even when I researched back in the day the cost of other MBA programs, even if you will take the full amount of money insignificant towards what other programs cost.
And the other thing is
especially when you compare it to the benefit that you get coming out.
And the other thing is that you see one amount. That's it. That there are no hidden costs.
One thing that is also common is for employers to invest in certain people's MBA program. We have a lot of employers sending employees here as a part of their
when you invest in your own people.
That's how I came. Also, it's a very nice gesture from an employer to see people new, but also then the employer benefits a lot from the skill that you bring every day to work. And regarding workload, it is very individual, of course, how different people handle it. But how I handled it, we do study every other weekend. So it's not during the week, first of all. when you have to work. That's why it's for executive professionals. So a lot of what you learn, you soak in during that weekend. So if you're one of these people who learn on the spot, then it's good for you. But if you have to continue reading about what you learned that weekend, you can take an hour of your day, for example, to prepare what you need to prepare as group work. That would be more or less enough, and it is doable to put in your schedule. Now, I had a lot of busy colleagues, busier than me, and oftentimes they couldn't participate in project work as much as other people could participate. So that also happens. And then sometimes you have to step up, but then other times your friends step up for you. So it's a lot about the group dynamics and supporting each other. And everyone has been able to do it. With 2 kids, with 3 kids, without kids, with dogs,
Even with the dog?
with dogs, even with dogs, without dogs, they've been able to do it. You need to get the support from your friends and family up front. It is something that is nice to have. Because I had a kid when I did it, so my family said, do it, we will support you, we will help. Because yeah, every second weekend you'll be gone. So you need to have this person or these people who will be supporting you. But it's only for a year and a half. It's definitely worth it. Because very quickly, a year and a half goes by.
The program is demanding, that is for sure. But just as Eva said, I had quite a busy schedule, and I did manage to cope with the program. And no, I did not spare an hour every day. I spared less time.
I would have guessed.
Yeah,
That's why it's very
I
individual.
won't get into the details of that, but it is demanding, but it can be organized. I mean, it's not rocket science.
Can you be more specific, like when it happened? Because in the beginning you said every first week of the month.
Oh, no.
What does it mean, or I didn't get one?
No, that's my bad. It is 4 semesters. First semester starts in mid-January, then late May, late September, and again mid-January, so that you graduate. You are done with everything by late April of the following year, and late May, mid-May, you graduate with everybody in Blagoevgrad, with undergraduate students, etc. Each semester's first week, however, say 4 or 5 days, Tuesday to Saturday, is you have classes all week, so to speak. So that's the intensive week in the beginning of each semester. And then every other weekend, you'll be here for classes.
Okay, but the tests are in the evening or during the workday?
No, during the workday, in the evening, Saturday and Sunday.
Only Saturday and Sunday.
So it's 1 week per semester.
No.
Every semester. So you have 4 weeks for these 16 months, where you have work days involved. For the rest of the time, you have only the weekends, and it's every other weekend.
Okay.
These 4 days is only 4 times for the whole program.
But still, you must take some time from
Yes.
your
Indeed.
work.
Indeed.
That is true.
Between the semesters, you have almost 1 month vacation.
Okay.
So
You will know the schedule, excuse me, because you will know the schedule of the program in the beginning in order to organize your work.
Okay.
What we do is that, as Annie mentioned, we keep a month in between semesters. First of all, because you need a little time. Everybody needs a little time, and so that you can enjoy life, or you can just catch up with all the things undone yet, both professionally or in your personal life. Eva mentioned that she has changes in her family. We observe this very often. Young women joining the program with very young children, babies, and they are capable of combining the duties of young motherhood and the commitment to the EMBA program. So this is possible. One other thing which is possible, and we observe it, is that when people join the program quite quickly, they change their position within their company. One such an example from the cohort who just graduated a couple of months ago, or weeks ago, the cohort 20. One of our students, by the end of the first semester, was promoted, and he was very skeptical about continuing the program, and was thinking of at least suspending or freezing the program for 1 year, which you can do, no problem. So you can do first and second semester, and then freeze your participation to the program for 1 year, and come back a year later, and you graduate with the following cohort. And it was actually his team members, as Victor said, the members of his team that showed him so much support, saying, whatever happens, stay with us. We have a very good dynamic. We know that you'll be much busier than you were until now. It's all right. We're going to step in for you, and you stay on board. And